Your habits shape your future and your choices define your success. Right now, you might feel stuck in a routine that drains your energy and dulls your dreams. Have you ever wondered why some people push through pain, handle stress, and grab big wins, while others give up at the first sign of trouble? Today, we will uncover the mindset that turns ordinary days into breakthroughs. You'll hear stories of struggle and triumph that feel close enough to touch. You'll learn how to take charge of your daily actions, embrace tough moments, and build habits that last. This video will challenge you to own your decisions and believe in your power to change. Keep watching to discover simple steps that spark growth and set you on a path you can feel in your bones. Ready to change your life? Let's get started with a simple plan you can use today. Number 1, focus daily on actions that push you forward. Do you know what separates people who wish for more from the ones who actually create more? It's not luck. It's not talent. It's not timing. It's action. Daily, intentional, focused action. Most people don't fail because they lack potential. They fail because they keep putting off what they know they need to do. They talk a good game. They plan. They hope. They wait for the perfect time, the right energy, the ideal circumstances. And while they're waiting, someone else is getting up early, setting priorities, and getting to work. The truth is this: your life is the result of what you do every single day. Not sometimes, not when it's convenient, not when you feel inspired. Every day. High achievers know this. They don't chase comfort. They don't wait for motivation. They build discipline. They decide what matters most, and then they do it, no matter how they feel. You have dreams. I know you do. You've imagined a life that excites you, a version of yourself that's stronger, sharper, more fulfilled. But none of that happens if you keep living each day like yesterday doesn't matter. Because it does. Yesterday built today, and today builds tomorrow. So if you want to become more, you've got to act like it, starting now, not later. You don't need more books. You don't need another podcast. You need to sit down and ask yourself, what are the actions that would push me forward right now? Not the ones that feel good, not the ones that make you look busy, the ones that actually move the needle. Do you know what those actions are? You probably do. We all do, deep down. But we avoid them because they're uncomfortable, because they require effort, because they force us to confront our fears. But guess what? That's exactly why they matter. You've got to start your mornings with intention, not scrolling, not checking messages, but deciding, what will I do today that brings me closer to who I want to become? Write it down, say it out loud, and then go do it. Don't get caught in the trap of confusion. Most people use confusion as an excuse to stay stuck. I'm not sure where to start. Start anywhere. Do something, because action creates clarity. You won't figure it out by thinking. You'll figure it out by doing. High achievers don't waste days. They don't make excuses. They understand the cost of drifting. They know that wasted time doesn't just disappear. It stacks up. It compounds. And one day, you look back and realize a whole year went by and nothing changed. If that scares you, good. It should. Because your time is limited. You can't afford to keep pressing snooze on your life. Every single day is a chance to either build or break your future. And you're building something whether you mean to or not. So choose to build something great, something worth waking up for. That means making different choices. That means saying no to distractions. That means putting your phone away and picking your goals back up. That means keeping your word to yourself. Not once, not for a week, every day. You want to be proud of who you are? Then be the kind of person who follows through, who finishes what they start, who doesn't need applause or permission to get to work. Because here's what's real. Nobody's coming to save you. No one's going to drag you to the finish line. It's you. It's always been you. And that's not a punishment. That's your power. You can decide right now to be done with mediocrity. You can decide that from this day forward, you're going to act like your life depends on what you do next. Because it does. Look around. The people you admire, the ones you look at and say, I wish I had what they have. They didn't stumble into greatness. They worked for it. They made a habit out of showing up. Even when it was hard. Especially when it was hard. You don't rise to the level of your dreams. You rise to the level of your daily habits. So make them count. Ask yourself every morning, what one thing can I do today that will push me forward? Then do it. Do it before the doubt creeps in. Do it before fear starts talking. Do it before your old patterns drag you back into comfort. And when it feels boring, do it anyway. When it feels hard, do it anyway. When no one's watching or cheering you on, do it anyway. That's the mindset of high achievers. They act est. They figure it out as they go. They don't need to feel perfect before they move. They know that movement is what sharpens the mind and strengthens the will. And every time you take action, you build something inside you. Confidence, discipline, power. Not the kind that fades when things get tough, but the kind that grows stronger with pressure. The kind that keeps going when everything else says quit. Now, I'm not saying this is easy. I'm saying it's worth it. You're not here to live a half-lived life. You're not here to survive. You're here to grow, to build, to evolve. And that only happens when you stop living on autopilot and start living on purpose. So here's the challenge. Decide today that your actions matter, that what you do today will determine what you have tomorrow. Wake up and take the first step that scares you. Turn off the distractions. Stop negotiating with your goals. Give yourself no way out. Focus daily on what pushes you forward. Not what feels safe. Not what feels familiar. Not what everyone else is doing. What moves you forward. That's how you create momentum. That's how you change your life. Not in one giant leap, but in small daily decisions that stack up into something extraordinary. You have the power to do that. Right now, today, but only if you take action. So stand up. Get clear. Move forward. Do it now. Because if not now, then what? Number 2, build habits that strengthen your willpower consistently. Every great life starts with one decision: to stop being ruled by how you feel and start being driven by what you've committed to. That's where everything changes. Not in a motivational quote, not in a moment of inspiration, but in the quiet, unseen habits that you choose to build every single day. The real power isn't in talent. It isn't in luck. It's in willpower. And that willpower gets stronger every time you train it through discipline. You've had moments where you promised yourself you'd change. You've told yourself, this is it, I'm done making excuses. But then the old habits pulled you back, didn't they? Not because you're weak, but because your daily habits weren't built to support your strength. Willpower doesn't come from wishing. It grows when you consistently push through what's uncomfortable and follow through with what you said you'd do. Think about this. How many times have you known exactly what to do, but still didn't do it? Not because you didn't care, not because it didn't matter, but because the habit of giving in was stronger than the habit of holding firm. And the only way to change that is to build habits that train your willpower. Not just once, not in a burst of motivation. Consistently. That means setting systems in place that don't rely on how you feel. You won't always feel like showing up. You won't always feel motivated. But high achievers build habits that make action automatic, not optional. You have to create an environment where your decisions don't need to be debated every day. They're built into how you live. Start small. Willpower is like a muscle. If you try to lift too heavy too soon, you'll burn out. But if you lift a little every day, it gets stronger. Wake up at the same time. Make your bed. Finish the workout. Stick to your routine. Say no when it's easier to say yes. These aren't small things. These are the reps that build a stronger mind. And here's what you need to understand. Your future doesn't care about your excuses. It cares about your habits. The ones you keep, not the ones you post about. And if your habits are working against you, then your willpower has no chance to lead you forward. Most people wait until they feel like it. But if you're serious about building the life you want, you have to decide to become the kind of person who acts even when they don't. That identity is built through repetition. Every time you do something hard, you're telling your mind, this is who I am now. That's how character is built. It's not about being extreme. It's about being consistent. There's power in knowing you can count on yourself. And you only get that by proving it again and again. Not with loud declarations, with quiet discipline. The discipline to eat right when nobody's watching. The discipline to read instead of scrolling. The discipline to sit with discomfort instead of escaping it. You build habits that strengthen your willpower by being honest with yourself. Stop negotiating with your goals. Stop making promises you don't plan to keep. Start showing up, no matter what. Don't just do what's easy. Do what's necessary. Do what's hard, because the hardest things are usually the ones that change you the most. Think about the most successful people you admire. They didn't get there by chance. They weren't born with more hours in the day. They made different choices. They learned how to master themselves, not through luck, but through habits that challenged them and sharpened their mental discipline. You want to grow? Then start doing the things that force you to become stronger. Turn off distractions. Show up when it's inconvenient. Stay focused when your mind starts looking for an exit. You build real strength when you stick with it after the excitement wears off. That's when it matters most. Willpower isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. One decision, one discipline, one difficult moment at a time. And if you can win those small battles, every day they stack into something powerful. You don't need a dramatic overnight transformation. You need to prove to yourself that you can make one better choice today, then another one tomorrow, then another one after that. You build a new identity by stringing together moments of discipline, not by waiting for life to get easier. And life won't get easier, but you can get stronger. So make a decision right now. No more coasting. No more hoping things magically improve. From now on, you train your willpower like your life depends on it. Because it does. You choose habits that make you better. Habits that don't just feel good, but do good. You shut down the voice in your head that tells you it's okay to quit. You stop giving power to your old story. The one that says you always give up. That you're not consistent. That you're not strong enough. That story's over. Because every time you follow through, you prove that it's a lie. You don't need perfect days. You need consistent effort. You don't need to be the best. You need to get better. One choice at a time. And when it gets hard, and it will, you don't back down. You lean in. You remember why you started. You remember what's at stake. And you keep going. Not because it's easy. Not because it's fun. Because it's right. Because it's who you are becoming. You don't have to fix everything in one day. But you do have to show up. That's how you start building a version of you that you can be proud of. The version of you that doesn't quit. That doesn't hide, that doesn't settle. And when you do that, something shifts. You stop relying on motivation and start relying on momentum. You realize you don't need more willpower. You've got to build it. And you do that through your daily habits, not flashy moments, daily ones. So here's what you do now. Decide on one habit that would make you stronger. Commit to it. Track it. Protect it. Show up for it. Every day. Watch what happens when you stop waiting and start acting. Your life won't change because of what you say. It will change because of what you do. Again and again. Build the habit. Strengthen your will. Shape your future. And do it at a time. Number 3, take full responsibility for every choice you make. Your life is exactly where it is because of the choices you've made, every single one of them. That may be hard to hear. It may even make you uncomfortable. But it's the truth that separates those who grow from those who stay stuck. Until you're willing to take full responsibility for every choice you've made, nothing in your life will truly change. Because as long as you keep blaming someone or something else, you give your power away. You hand over the keys to your future and hope someone else drives you to a better life, but no one's coming. It's on you. The job you have, the habits you keep, the relationships you hold on to, the way you spend your time, the goals you chase or ignore. All of it is a result of your decisions. Not fate, not chance, choices. That's the hard truth, but it's also the most freeing truth you'll ever accept. You can't control everything that happens to you, but you are always responsible for how you respond, what you accept, and what you do next. That's your power. That's where your strength begins. When you stop pointing fingers and start asking, what am I going to do about this? You step into a level of maturity and growth most people never reach. Think about this. How many times have you told yourself a story that made someone else the villain? That if they hadn't done this or said that, you would have been further along. You would have been more successful. You would have had your chance. That kind of thinking feels good for a moment. It justifies the pain, but it traps you. Because as long as your life is someone else's fault, it can never be your solution. And here's what's real. Your story might be filled with real pain, real injustice, real setbacks that weren't your fault. But you still have a choice. You can choose to stay bitter, or you can choose to get better. You can choose to carry it, or you can choose to rise above it. That's where responsibility comes in. It's not about blaming yourself for things you couldn't control. It's about owning your response now. You may not have chosen your childhood. You may not have chosen that heartbreak. You may not have chosen the job loss, the betrayal, the failure. But you do choose whether you let it define you or refine you. That's what high achievers understand. They don't waste time in self-pity. They don't look for sympathy. They look for strategy. They ask themselves, What can I learn from this? What's my next move? How do I make sure I don't end up here again? They take control of their lives one decision at a time. And it starts small. The food you eat, the words you use, the way you treat your body, the people you allow into your space. These choices matter. They shape your mindset. They influence your energy. They determine whether you're growing or shrinking. Every day you're building something. The question is, are you building a life you want or one you'll regret? Most people want change, but they don't want the discomfort that comes with taking ownership. It's easier to say, I can't help it. It's easier to say, that's just who I am. But those are lies that keep you small. You're not stuck. You're just scared of what it takes to become responsible. Responsibility means you stop complaining. You stop justifying. You stop making excuses. It means you face the truth, even when it hurts. You stop blaming the economy, your parents, your boss, your past, and you start asking yourself what you can do differently, how you can think differently, how you can show up in a stronger, smarter, more intentional way. And that's not easy. In fact, it's one of the hardest things you'll ever do, but it's also the most empowering thing you can do. Because when you own your life, you're no longer at the mercy of the world. You're in the driver's seat. You're in control. The people who rise the fastest are the ones who stop playing the victim. They stop waiting for someone to fix it. They don't need anyone to save them. They understand that progress starts with personal responsibility. Not because it's trendy, but because it works. Responsibility gives you clarity. It gives you focus. When you know it's on you, you stop wasting time on things that don't move you forward. You stop living in the past. You stop waiting for the right time. You realize that the only thing standing between where you are and where you want to be is the decisions you're making right now. So what are you choosing? Are you choosing discipline or distraction? Are you choosing growth or comfort? Are you choosing honesty or denial? Because whether you acknowledge it or not, you are choosing every time you snooze the alarm, every time you skip the workout, every time you avoid the hard conversation. That's a choice. And choices create patterns. Patterns become habits, and habits create your reality. So if your life isn't where you want it to be, stop looking outside. Start looking within. No more blaming traffic for being late. No more blaming your parents for your insecurities. No more blaming your partner for your unhappiness. Own your emotions. Own your reactions. Own your patterns. That's the only way to break them. Responsibility isn't about guilt. It's about growth. It's about realizing that you are not powerless. You are not a victim. You are a creator. You are a builder. But you can't build anything meaningful if you're too busy avoiding accountability. That's why most people stay stuck. Because responsibility requires humility. It requires self-awareness. It requires the courage to say, I messed up. I made that decision. I chose that path. And now I'm choosing a better one. That's not weakness. That's strength. That's maturity. That's how real progress happens. You want to change your life? Start by owning it. All of it. The good, the bad, the lessons, the patterns, especially the uncomfortable one. That's where your freedom begins. When you take responsibility, you stop repeating old cycles. You stop carrying the weight of the past. You create space for a future that's truly yours. And that's what you deserve. A life that's not built on blame or regret, but on ownership and power. But you only get that by deciding today that you're done waiting, done complaining, done pointing fingers, and ready to own every single choice you make from this point on. Your next level doesn't come from anyone else. It comes from you, from how honest you're willing to, from how responsible you're willing to become. Because the more you own, the more you grow. The more you blame, the more you stay the same. So ask us, right now, what are you still avoiding responsibility for? And what could change if you finally owned it? Take the first step. Take full responsibility for every choice you make. And watch how your entire life starts to change. Number 4, embrace failure as your strongest teacher every time. Failure is not the end of your story, it's the beginning of who you're meant to become. Every person who's ever achieved anything great has one thing in common. They failed. Not once, not twice, over and over again, and not in small ways, in big, painful, public, embarrassing ways. But instead of letting failure define them, they learned from it. They didn't walk away with shame. They walked away with lessons. And those lessons became the foundation of their success. Most people fear failure. They avoid it like it's poison. But the truth is, failure is feedback. It's information. It's a mirror that shows you what needs to change, what needs to grow, what needs to be rebuilt. And if you're smart, if you're committed, You'll look straight into that mirror and say, thank you. Because failure is trying to teach you something that success never could. It's easy to keep going when things are working, when you're getting the results, when people are cheering you on. But the real test of who you are, the real development of your character, happens when things fall apart, when the plan doesn't work, when you gave your best effort and it still wasn't enough. That's when it matters. That's when most people quit. But if you want to achieve something real, something lasting, something meaningful, you've got to stay in it. Especially then. Think back to a time when you failed. I don't mean something small. I mean something that shook you. Maybe it broke your confidence. Maybe it made you question everything. Maybe it made you want to disappear. That feeling, that's not weakness. That's life putting you in front of your greatest opportunity for growth. You don't learn who you are when everything is easy. You learn who you are when you fall. And you have to decide if you're going to get back up. Most people make the mistake of attaching their identity to their failures. They say, I failed, and turn that into I'm a failure. But those are not the same thing. Failing doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're trying. It means you're doing something most people are too afraid to do. It means you're in the arena, not sitting on the sidelines. And the more you fail, the more prepared you become. You develop resilience. You develop grit. You build understanding. You gain clarity about what works, what doesn't, who you can trust, and who you're really becoming. You have to stop asking, how do I avoid failure? And start asking, what is this failure trying to teach me? When something goes wrong, instead of running from it, lean in, study it. Ask yourself real questions. Why did it happen? What decision led me here? What belief did I carry into this that wasn't true? What part of me needs to grow so I don't repeat this again? You won't like the answers at first, because growth is uncomfortable. But that discomfort is what sharpens your perspective. It forces you to face yourself. It pushes you to face yourself. It pushes you to evolve. You want confidence? Real confidence? Earn it by surviving failure and coming back stronger. Not with fake positivity. Not with denial. With truth. With reflection. With action. The people who succeed at the highest level aren't fearless. They're fearless about failing. They're willing to fall because they know every fall has a purpose. They don't take it personal. They don't use it as a reason to tuck. They use it as fuel. You've probably been taught to fear being wrong, to avoid mistakes, to get it right the first time. But that's a lie. The greatest minds, the strongest leaders, the most fulfilled people you know, they've all gotten it wrong many times. What makes them great isn't perfection. It's their relationship with failure. They treat it like a mentor. The faster you fail, the faster you learn. The more you're willing to risk mistakes, the more you grow. But if you're still trying to be perfect to impress everyone, to get it all right before you begin, you'll never begin. You'll stay stuck, safe, comfortable, and eventually regretful. Because the biggest failure isn't falling. It's staying down. It's staying silent. It's refusing to try again. And maybe that's where you are right now. Maybe something went wrong. Maybe you feel behind. Maybe you're ashamed. Maybe you think it's too late. It's not. The moment you take that pain and turn it into wisdom, you've already won. You've already transformed. You're not supposed to have it all figured out. You're supposed to figure it out through failure. That's the process. That's the price. That's the path. Nobody's exempt from it. And the sooner you stop resisting it, the sooner your life starts moving in the direction you've always wanted it to go. Start embracing every failure as a teacher, as a builder of your character, as a gift wrapped in discomfort. Say to yourself, this didn't go how I planned, but I'm still here, and I'm going to keep going. You'll find that the lessons failure gives you are the ones that stick with you for life. They go deeper than theory. They go deeper than advice. They become your experience, and that experience makes you unshakable. So stop hiding from failure. Stop pretending you're not afraid of it. Feel the fear. Face it anyway. Fall. Learn. Rise again. With more wisdom. With more strength. With more courage. That's how you win. That's how you grow. That's how you lead. And when the next failure comes, and you'll be ready. Not because it won't hurt, but because you know what to do with it. You know how to extract the value. You know how to rise above it. Because you've been there before. That's your edge. That's your advantage. That's what makes you unstoppable. So if something didn't go the way you wanted, good. Use it. Learn from it. Grow through it. And then keep moving. Keep building. Keep becoming. Failure is not your enemy. It's your teacher. Embrace it every time. And watch how fast you rise. Number 5, challenge your limits by setting bigger realistic goals. If your goals don't scare you, they're not big enough to grow you. There comes a point in your life where you have to stop aiming for what's safe and start reaching for what actually stretches you. Most people never get what they want, not because they can't have it, but because they never dare to want more than what feels comfortable. They play small, they think small, they act small, and then they wonder why they feel stuck, uninspired, or lost. It's because they stopped setting goals that challenge their limits. If you want more out of life, you have to stop asking for less. You have to stop settling for the same routine, the same results, the same mindset that hasn't taken you anywhere new. Every time you repeat what you've already done, you reinforce the limits you've accepted. And the only way to break through those limits is to set a goal that demands something more from you. Something deeper, something stronger, something unfamiliar. You already know how to do what you've always done. That's not the problem. The problem is you're not putting yourself in situations where your current skills are no longer enough. That's where growth begins. When you're forced to become someone more capable, more focused, more resilient than you've ever been before. And the only way to get there is by setting bigger, realistic goals that force you to challenge your current level. But listen closely. Bigger doesn't mean fantasy. It doesn't mean setting goals so outrageous that they feel like fiction. That's not growth. That's avoidance. The key is to stretch just beyond your current edge, just far enough that it feels uncomfortable, but still reachable, with focus and effort. Realistic doesn't mean easy. It means possible. If you're willing to pay the price in action, sacrifice, and discipline. That's the zone where transformation happens. When you set a goal that's just outside your reach, you start to think differently. You stop doing things on autopilot. You start making sharper choices. You begin to prioritize. You begin to cut distractions. You find out what actually matters. Because suddenly there's something at stake. And when there's something at stake, your excuses start to shrink. Let me be real with you. Nobody ever changed their life by doing what was comfortable. Nobody ever broke through by doing only what they knew. And nobody ever became proud of themselves by staying in the same place. You have to reach further. You have to stretch into the version of yourself that hasn't shown up yet. Maybe you've been telling yourself it's not the right time, that you'll start later, that you just need a little more clarity. But deep down, you already know you've been playing beneath your potential. You've been avoiding the very goals that would wake you up in the morning with urgency and put you to bed at night with purpose. The truth is, your comfort zone isn't comfort, it's a trap. It looks safe, but it's stealing your potential, one quiet day at a time. You weren't made to survive. You were made to evolve. You were built with the capacity to imagine something bigger and the responsibility to chase it. That starts with deciding what bigger actually looks like for you. Not what others expect, not what the world says you should want. What you know deep in your gut is calling to be built, experienced, or achieved. The version of success that excites you and scares you at the same time. And once you've decided what that is, write it down. Not eventually. Today. Give it a deadline. Give it a structure. Break it into steps. Then look at your current habits and ask yourself, are they moving me toward this goal or away from it? Because if they're not aligned, your goal is just a wish. You need goals that force you to change your behavior. You need goals that upgrade your standard. You need goals that make you uncomfortable enough to evolve. When you challenge your limits with the right kind of goal, your brain gets focused. Your heart gets invested. Your actions become more intentional. You start tracking progress instead of chasing perfection. You stop getting discouraged by setbacks and start seeing them as signals that you're on the edge of something new. There's power in realizing you don't need to have it all figured out to begin. You just need to begin. You need to aim higher than usual and stay grounded enough to act every single day. Don't confuse goal setting with fantasy thinking. This isn't about hype. This is about clarity, strategy, courage. You're not chasing motivation. You're chasing meaning. Meaningful goal will force you to cut the lies. The lie that you're too late. The lie that you're not ready. The lie that you'll fail like last time. A goal that truly stretches you will demand that you become someone who doesn't live in fear, doesn't make excuses, and doesn't settle for a repeat of last year. So what are you aiming at right now? Be honest with yourself. Is it challenging? Is it specific? Is it pulling something greater out of you? If not, it's time to upgrade the target. Because if you don't raise your standards, your roof will never rise. You have to stop letting the fear of failure hold you hostage. The fear will be there. It always is, but it's not there to stop you. It's there to remind you that you're moving beyond who you were, that you're about to do something real, something worthwhile. And you'll know you've picked the right goal when it requires you to become more focused, more organized, more disciplined than you are today. That's the sign you're in the right territory. You don't need to be perfect to start. You don't need to know every step. You just need to set a goal that feels big enough to matter and real enough to chase, and then start building the momentum, day by day, step by step, action by action. You'll feel resistance. You'll feel tired. You'll question yourself. That's part of the process. That's how you grow past who you've been. You're going to fail. You're going to hit walls. But if you keep showing up, if you keep pushing your own edge, if you keep moving forward when it's hard, that's where the breakthrough happens. Your potential is never unlocked through easy goals. It's unlocked through challenges that pull more out of you than you thought you had. That's where greatness lives. That's where confidence is built. That's where self-respect is earned. Set bigger goals, make them count, make them real, and let them become the fire that wakes you up with purpose and puts you to sleep with pride. Because when you stop settling and start stretching, your life will never be the same. Number 6, surround yourself only with people who inspire growth. If you want to change your life, start by changing the people you allow into it. The truth is, no matter how strong you are, the people you spend time with will shape you. Every conversation leaves a mark. Every influence plants a seed. And over time, you start to become a reflection of the environment you surround yourself with. If you're constantly around people who settle, who complain, who reject growth, then you will slowly start to think that way too. Even if you don't notice it at first, your energy lowers, your vision fades, your standards shrink. You begin to second guess the very goals that once lit a fire in you. But when you're around people who are building, who are learning, who are striving to be better, you rise. You think bigger, that you believe more. You stretch your limits just by watching how they move. That's not luck. That's intentional association. And it's one of the smartest decisions you will ever make for your growth. Ask yourself this. Who are you talking to every day? Who are you letting speak into your mind? Who gets your time, your trust, your attention? Because if the answer includes people who drain you, discourage you, or distract you from your potential, then it's time to make a change. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it may hurt. But keeping people around who make you small is far more damaging than the discomfort of letting them go. You are not obligated to keep relationships that cost you your future. Some of the people in your life right now were meant to be chapters, not the entire book. They played a role in who you used to be. But if they no longer support who you're becoming, you have to stop forcing it. Loyalty is a beautiful thing, but not when it keeps you stuck. Not when it keeps you quiet. Not when it keeps you doubting your worth. Growth is personal. It's sacred, and it deserves protection. There's a certain kind of silence that happens when you start elevating your standards. People who used to fit in your circle might start to feel distant. They may criticize your changes. They may call you different. But hear me, they're not reacting to your choices. They're reacting to their own reflection. Your growth reminds them of their own refusal to grow. And not everyone is ready to face that. You don't need people to cheer for you if they aren't growing with you. You don't need constant validation to know that you're on the right path. What you need is alignment. You need people who challenge you to think, who ask better questions, who push you when you start settling, who don't just accept your excuses, but call you out on them, because they see your potential and refuse to let it go to waste. You need people who talk about ideas, not gossip. You need people who dream big and work hard. You need people who have standards, who have habits, who are hungry to grow. People who aren't just coasting through life. They're building something, becoming something, and they want you to do the same. That's what makes a real tribe, a real circle. Not people who make you feel comfortable, but people who make you uncomfortable in all the right ways, because they remind you of what's possible. They reflect back to you the version of yourself you're working to become. And when you find people like that, protect those connections, nurture them, show up for them, invest in them, because they are rare. And the more you grow, the harder it becomes to find people who really get it. People who aren't threatened by your ambition, People who don't resent your progress. People who encourage. But here's the other side of the truth. You attract who you are. So if you want to surround yourself with people who inspire growth, you have to become a person who is committed to growth. You can't ask for driven people if you're still making excuses. You can't expect high standards from others if you keep lowering your own. The kind of people you want in your life, also looking for someone like you. Someone honest, focused, hungry, and real. So it starts with you. Clean up your energy, upgrade your minds, stop talking about what you're going to do, and start doing it. Because when you become someone who lives with purpose, you naturally attract people who do the same. You'll notice that as you raise your energy, people who don't match that frequency will start to fall away. That's alignment. That's life. Removing what no longer belongs. And it's your job not to chase it back. Let it go. Let the space be empty for a while. Trust that it's making room for something better. Because it always does. Your environment will either feed your future or bury it. And if you're serious about building a life that matters, then you have to get serious about who's walking that road with you. Don't confuse history with destiny. Just because you've known someone for years doesn't mean they're meant to walk with you now. Some people are only meant to love the old version of you. And if they can't direct your evolution, they don't deserve access to your next level. The right people will clap when you win. They'll challenge you when you lose. They'll support your dreams, not just when they're convenient, but when they demand something different. And you will do the same for them. That's how greatness multiplies. That's how real growth happens. So make the hard choices. Audit your circle. Protect your peace. Connect with people who live what they speak, who rise early, who read, who act, who serve, who love hard, who don't just talk about growth, but live it. You owe it to yourself to stop watering dead plants. You owe it to yourself to stop explaining your journey to people who aren't even walking. You owe it to your vision to be surrounded by energy that reminds you of what you're capable of. This is your season to grow, to rise, to lead, and you don't have time to drag people who don't want to move. Wish them well and move forward. Because the people who belong in your life won't pull you back. They'll push you forward. They won't compete with you. They'll collaborate. They won't dim your light. They'll reflect it. Surround yourself only with people who inspire growth, and watch how your entire world starts to change. Number 7, prioritize your time ruthlessly on what truly matters. If you don't control your time will control you, and it won't lead you anywhere worth going. Every single day you wake up with something more valuable than money, more powerful than talent, more limited than energy. You wake up with time. And how you spend it defines your future. The truth is, most people are not lazy. They're just busy doing the wrong things. They confuse movement with progress. They're running all day, working hard, saying yes to everything but getting nowhere. Because their time is being spent, not invested. They haven't made what truly matters the priority. You have to wake up and realize not everything deserves your attention. Not every request deserves your energy. Not every opportunity is aligned with your goal. And if you don't decide what matters most, someone else will. You get one life, one shot, one chance to build a future that reflects your values, your vision, and your highest self. And that future is being built every day with how you use your hour. The way you schedule your time is the way you shape your destiny. You can't afford to live in reaction mode. You can't keep letting distractions eat up your potential. You can't keep saying, "I'll get to it later," and expect your dreams to wait for you. Time doesn't wait. It passes. Every hour you waste on things that don't matter is an hour you'll never get back. And deep down you know it. That feeling you have at the end of the day, that you were busy but not productive, that you checked things off but didn't move closer to your goals. That's not just stress, that's your potential warning you. That's your inner voice, reminding you that something needs to change. You don't need more time, you need more clarity. You need more focus. You need to start prioritizing your life like it actually matters, because it does. Start by getting brutally honest about what truly matters to you. Not what sounds good, not what looks good on paper. What actually moves the needle in your life. What brings you closer to the life you want to live. That's what you need to protect. That's what you need to pour your energy into. And that means saying no a lot. It means cutting things that feel urgent but aren't important. It means turning off your phone when it's time to focus. It means walking away from conversations that lead nowhere. It means refusing to let distractions become your routine. You've got to be ruthless with your time, because the world is not going to stop distracting you. The world is not going to stop offering you things that feel urgent, but lead nowhere. The world will keep throwing noise at you until you decide you're done with it. Your job is to build a system that protects your focus, a structure that supports your goals, a routine that makes your priorities visible, not invisible. You don't rise by accident. You rise by discipline, by doing the things that matter even when no one's watching, even when it's uncomfortable, even when no one claps. Most people will never live the life they want because they keep putting off the things that would actually create it. They check social media before they check their vision. They reply to every message but ignore their mission. They spend hours reacting to life instead building it. That's not how high achievers live. That's not how greatness is built. Greatness is built when you wake up with intention, when you protect the first hours of your day, when you create before you consume, when you choose purpose over distraction, when you stop trying to please everyone and start honoring the commitments you made to yourself. Your time is sacred. You can either give it away to distractions, or you can invest it into your dream. You can spend your life chasing validation, or you can spend your life building something that matters. You can chase what's urgent, or you can choose what's important. You can't do both. Ask yourself how much of your time is truly going toward what you want most. How much of it is going toward habits you know are holding you back, toward people who aren't aligned with your future, toward distractions you told yourself you'd stop. You already know what's stealing your time. What you need now is the courage to cut it. Because when you start protecting your time like your future depends on it, everything changes. You get more clarity, more energy, more results. You stop feeling like a prisoner of your day and start becoming the architect of your life. You start feeling proud at the end of your day. Not because you did everything, but because you did the right things. You said yes to your mission. You said no to everything that didn't serve it. That's where real peace comes from. Not from doing more, but from doing what actually mattered. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start acting like your time is your most valuable resource. Because it is. You need to guard it like your dream depends on it. Because it does. You need to prioritize with conviction, not hesitation. Because nobody's going to give you the life you want. You have to create it. And the foundation of that life is built one choice at a time, every single hour. So if you've been drifting, it's time to wake up. If you've been letting distractions run your life, it's time to reclaim your focus. If you've been saying yes to everything, it's time to start saying no with strength. Look at your schedule and ask yourself, does this reflect my values? Does this reflect my mission? Does this reflect who I'm becoming? If the answer is no, it's time to make change. You have what it takes to build something extraordinary, but you'll never reach it by letting time slip through your fingers. Be bold enough to take control. Be clear enough to focus on what truly matters. Be strong enough to say no to what doesn't. Your future is watching how you spend your time today. Give it something to be proud of. Number 8, develop patience and persist through every tough moment. Some seasons of your life will break you down just to build you into someone stronger. There are going to be moments when everything feels like it's falling apart. When the plan doesn't work, the doors don't open, and nothing makes sense. And in those moments, most people panic. Most people quit. Most people walk away, but not you. You're here because deep down, something in you refuses to give up. That's not weakness. That's a calling. And the only way to answer it is with patience and persistence. See, we live in a world that's obsessed with speed. Everyone wants everything now. Fast success, instant results, immediate validation. But growth doesn't work like that. Real change doesn't show up on demand. It shows up after the work, after the waiting, after the setbacks, after the lonely nights, and the quiet progress that nobody sees. And this is where most people lose the fight. Not because they're not capable, but because they run out of patience. They expect the reward before they've earned the strength. They want the harvest without surviving the drought. But what they don't understand is this: the struggle is not the enemy. The struggle is part of the process. When life gets heavy, you don't need to move faster. You need to stand firmer. You need to keep showing up, even when it's not exciting, even when nobody notices, even when it hurts. Because those moments, those painful, silent, invisible moments, are the ones that shape your future. You build real strength when nothing is going your way, and you choose to keep going anyway. You build character when it's hard to trust, but you refuse to doubt yourself. You build purpose when life tests every ounce of your resolve, and you stay grounded in what you believe. But that doesn't happen without patience. Patience is more than waiting. It's enduring. It's believing in your path. Even when it feels like it's leading nowhere, it's staying loyal to your vision. Even when it feels like progress is invisible, it's holding the line when everything inside you wants to run. And persistence is your response to resistance. It's what separates those who try from those who become. Persistence is choosing to act again, choosing to rise again, choosing to build again, even after failure, even after heartbreak, even after disappointment. Because the truth is, life doesn't get easier, but you get stronger. And every time you persist, you prove something to yourself. You prove that you can your word, that you can do hard things, that you're not here just for comfort. You're here for growth, and that growth comes from pushing through what most people avoid. Think back on every tough moment you've already survived. The ones that left you shaken, confused, maybe even broken. You're still here. You made it through. That's not by accident. That's because something in you refused to stay down. That strength, that quiet fire, that's what will carry you forward through the next storm. There will be days when the progress is so slow, it feels like failure. Days when the effort doesn't match the outcome. Days when you start questioning everything. And those days are critical. Because what you choose to do on those days will define your entire path. Will you stop and start over? Will you let the pain decide your future? Or will you plant your feet, breathe through the weight, and take the next step? You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep going. Progress isn't always visible, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. Some of the most powerful transformations happen under the surface, in the silence, in the resistance, in the moments when nobody's watching. You don't build a strong body by lifting something once. You don't build a strong mind by succeeding every time. You build it by pushing through what's difficult, again and again and again. Every time you persist, you stretch your capacity. You gain control over your emotions. You become more than the circumstances trying to shape you. You become the one who shapes your path, no matter what. And patience, that's your armor. It protects your peace. It slows you down long enough to understand what's really going on. It helps you step back, regroup, and act with wisdom, not desperation. People will tell you to be positive, but I'm telling you something stronger. Be patient, be persistent, because those two traits will take you further than talent, further than luck, further than motivation. This journey you're on, whatever goal, dream, or transformation you're chasing, will test you. And you're not going to pass every test with flying colors. You're going to fail. You're going to fall. You're going to have days where you want to shut the whole thing down. But if you keep going, if you develop the patience to wait without giving up, and the persistence to act without constant reward, you will build a version of yourself you never knew existed. A version that can handle pressure, a version that doesn't break under stress, a version that doesn't need applause to stay committed. You're not here to take the easy path. You're here to become something greater. And that kind of transformation only happens when you keep walking through the storm. So when it gets hard, don't wish it were easier. Become stronger. When the results don't show up, don't give in to doubt. Keep building. When nobody understands your vision, don't try to convince them. Prove it by showing up again tomorrow. That's the mindset of high achievers. They don't just chase goals, they endure for them, they fight for them, they bleed for them, and eventually, they earn them. If you're tired, take a breath. If you're scared, take a step. If you're frustrated, feel it, but don't let it stop you. Everything you're going through is preparing you for everything you've asked for. Stay patient, stay persistent, stay focused. Your breakthrough is not on the other side of more talent or more resource. It's on the other side of your consistency. Keep showing up, keep trusting the process, keep moving forward, especially when it's hard. Because the ones who win in the end are not the ones who never struggled. They're the ones who never stop. Number 9, replace excuses with solutions and take immediate action. If you don't act now, you'll spend the rest of your life explaining why you didn't. Excuses are lies dressed up as reasons, and every time you make one, you choose comfort over growth, fear over progress, and regret over results. You were not born to explain why something didn't work. You were born to figure out how to make it work. That shift from making excuses to finding solutions is the moment everything changes. Because high achievers don't wait for perfect conditions. They take the conditions they have and create the outcome they want. You see, every single time you say, I can't, you're really saying, I won't. Not because you're weak, not because you're not capable, but because it's easier to talk than to do. It's easier to imagine than to execute. It's easier to explain failure than to risk it. But here's what you need to know. Nobody gets a pass. Everybody has obstacles. Everybody has limitations. Everybody starts from a different place. Some start with more, some with less. But your starting point is not your excuse. It's your platform. What you do with it is what separates success from struggle. Look around you. The most successful people you admire, they didn't get there by avoiding problems. They got there by facing them, solving them, acting in spite of them. They didn't waste time complaining about what they didn't have. They focused on what they could do right now, and they did it. That's the difference. Action, relentless, immediate, consistent action. It's not enough to know what to do. Everybody knows what to do. The difference is who's doing it. You know what needs to happen in your life. You've known for a while. But what's stopping you isn't lack of knowledge. It's hesitation. It's distraction. It's the habit of waiting for the right moment. But the right moment is not coming. The perfect day doesn't exist. There's only now. Now is when you decide if your excuses win or if your future does. You've told yourself stories for years. Stories about why it's not the right time, why it's too hard, why you're not ready. And those stories feel real because you've repeated them so many times. But none of those stories are facts. They're choices. And you can choose a new story right now. A story that starts with action. Excuses are safe. They make failure seem like it's out of your hands. They protect your ego, but they destroy your progress. And the price of those excuses is high. It's your peace, your growth, your dreams. So if you're serious about change, you have to kill your excuses before they kill your potential. Start asking better questions. Not why is this happening to me, but what can I do about it? Not why is this so hard, but what's my next move? When you shift from blame to responsibility, from talk to action, from waiting to working, you take back your power. You don't need more motivation. You need momentum. And momentum only comes from doing. Even the smallest action right now can start a chain reaction that changes everything. Call the person, apply for the job, hit the gym, write the email, record the video. Whatever you know you've been putting off, do that. Because that's where transformation begins. Not in talking, in acting, in proving to yourself that you are done with the old you. The one who postponed everything. The one who made promises, but never followed through. The one who said someday over and over again, until life passed by. You don't need to fix everything today, but you need to start something today. That's the truth. That's the path forward. Take one step. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be real. Because when you act, even in fear, even in uncertainty, you start rewriting the script. You stop being the victim of your story and become the author of it. Your mind will resist. It will scream at you to stay comfortable. It will tell you to start tomorrow, that it's not the right time, that you're not ready. Don't listen. That voice is fear. It's trying to protect your old identity, but your future depends on you ignoring that voice and doing it anyway. You're not behind. You're not too late. You're not broken. You're just one decision away from momentum. One choice, one action. That's it. Every excuse you've made up to this point, forgive yourself, then drop them. You're human. You've been stuck. That's okay. But now it's time to shift. It's time to rise. It's time to take control. You want confidence? Take action. You want clarity? Take action. You want freedom? Take action. It's not about having all the answers. It's about becoming the kind of person who keeps moving forward. Even when they don't. There will never be a perfect moment. There will never be full certainty. So start before you feel ready. You'll figure it out along the way. And as you act, as you move, the fear fades, the doubt shrinks, the story changes, because now you're the one creating it. High achievers don't have less fear. They just take more action. They don't wait until the plan is flawless. They move with what they have. They build as they go. They trust their ability to adapt. And you can do the same. This is your time to step up, to stop repeating the reasons, and start producing the results. You've been waiting long enough. You've been dreaming long enough. Now is when you draw the line and say, I'm done holding back. No more excuses. No more delays. No more overthinking. Just one step, then another, and another. That's how change happens. That's how lives are rebuilt. That's how momentum is born. You've got what it takes. You always have. It's just been buried under layers of hesitation. Dig yourself out with action. One brick at a time. One step at a time. One choice at a time. And when you do that, when you take that step today, you'll feel it. Not just relief, not just progress, but power. You'll feel the weight lift. You'll feel your mind shift. You'll feel the fire come back. And from that moment on, You'll know excuses are done, solutions have taken their place, and action is now your identity. Go now. Do the thing. Take the step. Build the life. Because the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the action you've been avoiding. It's time to take it. Number 10, visualize success clearly and believe in your power. If you can't see it in your mind, you'll never hold it in your hands. Everything begins in the mind. Every goal you've achieved, every dream you've chased, every life you admire, it all started as a clear picture inside someone's head. And that picture wasn't a fantasy. It was a blueprint. The moment you create a vivid, honest vision of your success, your brain starts searching for ways to make it real. But if you don't create that picture, you drift. You wake up every day doing random things, hoping life works out. That's not how high achievers live. They decide what success looks like, then they build it. You have a future inside you that wants to come alive, but it needs direction. It needs certainty. And that starts with you sitting down, shutting out the noise, and asking yourself, what do I really want my life to look like? Not what sounds good, not what others expect, what you want. The details, the energy, the environment, the results. Visualize it so clearly that your mind starts believing it's already yours. Because here's the truth. Your brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined. When you picture your success with focus, clarity, and emotion, you activate parts of your mind that start pulling that reality closer. You prime your thoughts, your choices, and your actions to align with that image. That's not wishful thinking. That's training your brain to build a life on purpose. But here's the catch. Most people don't do this. Most people don't see clearly. They don't take time to paint that picture. They wake up, react to life, repeat routines, and wonder why nothing changes. You can't chase a goal you haven't defined. You can't live a life you haven't seen. You've got to start with the end in mind and bring it to life in your thoughts. It's not enough to just want success. That's vague. That's empty. Wanting something is not the same as seeing it and believing in it. You've got to believe it's possible for you, not just for others, not just for the lucky or the talented, but for you. Because belief is the foundation of action. If you don't believe you can do it, you won't try. And even if you do try, you'll quit the moment it gets hard. Not because you're weak, but because deep down you never really believed it was yours to begin with. You need to see yourself succeeding before anyone else does. You need to believe in your power before the world ever validates you. This is what sets high achievers apart. It's not just work ethic. It's inner certainty. It's that fire in their gut that says, I don't know how long it'll take. I don't know what it's going to cost, but I know who I am, and I'm going to win. You don't get that belief from outside approval. You get it by feeding your vision every single day, by reminding yourself why you started, by refusing to let self-doubt hijack your future. Yes, you'll have days when fear creeps in. You'll question whether you're good enough, whether you've got what it takes, whether it's even worth it. But on those days, you come back to your vision. You close your eyes and see it again. You feel it. You hear the sounds. You see the faces. You breathe it in. Because the more clearly you see it, the more power you give it. And when you believe deeply enough, your actions start to follow. You stop wasting time. You stop seeking permission. You stop waiting for signs. You move. You act. You become. And people will start to notice. Not because you told them, but because they feel it in the way you show up, in your posture, in your presence, in your persistence. But this won't happen on autopilot. You have to make this a practice. Daily, not once a month, not just when you feel good. Every single day you take a moment to visualize the future you're building. Not just the result, but the process, the struggle, the effort, the commitment. You see yourself pushing through, winning, growing, achieving. Not someday, now. Because what you feed your mind consistently becomes your default. This is not about positive thinking. This is about identity. Because once you truly believe you are the seed of person who creates success, you will start acting like it. You'll talk differently, walk differently, decide differently. Because your belief becomes your standard. And your standard drives your reality. Too many people are waiting for proof. They want to see success before they believe in it. But it doesn't work like that. You believe first, then you create the proof. And it starts with a decision. A deep, unwavering decision to stop playing small, to stop shrinking your dreams, to fit your comfort zone, to stop letting layer write your future. Your past does not define your limits. Your current situation does not define your ceiling. What defines your future is the vision you hold and the belief you choose to back it with. So here's what I'm telling you today. Take ownership of your future by designing it. See it with absolute clarity. Write it down. Speak it aloud. Walk like it's already on its way. Because the version of you who's living that life, that version isn't just a fantasy. It's real. It's waiting for you to catch up. And every action you take from belief is one step closer. You're not too late. You're not too far behind. You're not stuck. You just need to reclaim your vision. You need to remember that the most powerful force in your life is not your circumstances. It's your focus. And when you lock your focus on success, on the version of you who's already winning, you give yourself the energy, the courage, and the discipline to become it. You don't need permission to start. You don't need guarantees. You need belief, and belief begins in your own mind. So from this moment forward, see your success, not with doubt, not with fear. See it with clarity, with certainty, with pride. You're not chasing a dream. You're becoming. Close your eyes, visualize the win, then open your eyes and take the first step.